13-year-old Nat Beacon loves a lot of things. Her dog, Warbucks, her best friend, Chloe, and competing on her wheelchair racing team, the Zoomers, to name a few. But there's one thing she's absolutely obsessed with: musicals. From Hamilton to Les Miserables, there's not a cast album she hasn't memorized and belted along to. She's never actually been in a musical, though, or even seen an actor who uses a wheelchair for mobility on stage. Would someone like Nat ever get cast? But when Nat's family moves from California to New Jersey, Nat stumbles upon auditions for a summer production of Wicked, one of her favorite musicals ever. And she gets into the ensemble. The other cast members are super cool and inclusive. Well, most of them. Especially Malik, the male lead and cutest boy Nat's ever seen. But when things go awry a week before opening night, will Nat be able to cast her fears and insecurities aside and defy gravity in every sense of the song title? Here is a preview of The Chance to Fly by Ali Stroker and Stacy Davidowitz. "Hiya there, Oakley," Nat said, putting on her best Wild West accent to greet her lime green racing wheelchair. In the humid, blazing parking lot of Redkers College, her dad pumped the perfect amount of air into the chair's third wheel. "What is that, Australian?" he asked. "Aren't the Oakley Sunglasses headquarters in California?" "What, you think I named Oakley after sunglasses?" "What are those?" he asked, pointing at her shades. "They're Ray-Bans," she replied flatly. "I named Oakley after Annie Oakley." Blank stare. "Annie, get your gun?" Another blank stare. "It's like a world-famous musical." "Ah, a musical," her dad joked, as if he'd only just learned what one was. He helped her transfer from Peaches to Oakley, which was perfectly custom-fitted to her body, and she snapped on her matching lime green and purple flowered helmet. "So, you ready to sign up for the lightning wheels?" he asked. "Sure, yeah." "That's it?" "Sure, yeah." He inhaled with drama. "I said, are you ready to register and get some dad-daughter practicing in before you meet the team tomorrow? So help me God." "Ready," Nat shouted with a giggle. She raced after him as he high-kneed it toward the track. 3 painfully boring days of Netflix, cereal, and unpacking had passed, and she was honestly just excited to have a reason to get out of the house. She crossed her gloved fingers that the lightning wheels would be just like the Zoomers, the team she'd dedicated 3 years to back home. She and her wheel friends had as much fun off the track as they did on, especially during out-of-state competitions like the Junior Paralympics in Denver, Colorado, where they'd had wild sleepover parties in hotel rooms and ordered cheeseburgers with every cheese via room service. Hi, I'm Cynthia, the coach." Nat's eyes followed the raspy smoker's voice to a white woman with frizzy gray hair that was pulled back in a scrunchie. Cynthia waddled over to the gate's entrance, which was odd in and of itself. Serena, her Zoomers coach, was in a chair, which was how she understood how to coach wheelchair racing. "You must be Natalie." "Yeah, hi," Nat said. "It's nice to meet you." "Yep, same," Cynthia said. She then looked at Nat's dad, who had his fist out for a bump. "And you must be Jeff." She bumped him back, but said his name like it was dripping with nasty protein powder. Great meeting you in person, Nat's dad said, seemingly unfazed. They moved to the track. I appreciate you letting me chat your ear off last night. Uh-huh. I really wanted you to get a sense of Nat's stats and also what a great kid she is. From one coach to another, I think you'll find she's going to be an awesome addition to the team. Cynthia moved a loose whistle around in her palm like a stress ball, but Nat was the one feeling stressed. Knowing her dad, he'd probably bragged about how she'd been awarded lots of medals, leaving out the fact that she'd gotten 6th place one time, and that the rest of her awards were for stuff like sportsmanship and most improved. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got, Natalie, Cynthia said, but I'm not going to lie. We've been training for the new season since the late spring. You're going to have to play catch-up. She knocked on Nat's helmet. Oh, ha, Nat mumbled. She watched her dad's Adam's apple slide up and down so hard it looked like it might pop out through his neck. Cynthia pointed to Nat's compensator, which was basically a steering lever that made the chair go straight or hold a curve around the track. Why don't you set that? Already set, Nat's dad cut in way too enthusiastically. Why don't you test it, she said to Nat, and take a few warm-up laps while your dad and I get your registration in order. Nat can absolutely do that, her dad said. She is 100% up for any challenge. All right, Jeff, follow me to my office. Natalie will meet you back out here in 10. Cool, okay, Nat said, disappointed. The Zoomers had welcomed her to the team with a t-shirt, pink wristbands, and a cheer. Who's the boom? Zoom, zoom. What's the boom? Zoom, zoom. And they'd celebrated her dad's involvement, not treated him like the annoying kid in class who the teacher can't stand. She bravely pushed to the starting line, threw in her mom's wireless headphones, and pressed shuffle on her Broadway playlist. Memory from Cats blasted into her ears. Probably the saddest, loneliest, pump-down song on the mix. Nat fumbled with her headphones to change the track and took off to the sound of violins, her compensator set to straight. It wasn't until she was approaching the curve and a chorus of dead people finally started singing that she realized she was listening to the finale of Titanic. Definitely the saddest, loneliest, pump-down song on the mix. She stopped, and 4 college-age students in matching maroon uniforms sprinted past her, then cut back into her lane. Sorry, she started to say, but they were already a few paces ahead. She swallowed her needless apology and checked her phone. 10:13 a.m. 6 minutes had felt like 20. She struck the compensator, ripped the headphones from her ears, and wheeled off the track and into the sports facility building to find her dad. As the automatic doors opened, Nat felt a blast of AC that sent her arm hair straight up. The lobby was unexpectedly beautiful. Its high walls were covered with old-school windows. Strong summer light streamed in, casting a racing chair shadow across the marble floor. She spotted what could have been an office door across the lobby and rolled toward it, passing an old telephone booth, a closed-up box office, and next to that, double wooden doors, one of which was slightly open. Nat rolled past the doorway and caught a glimpse of red. Curious? She stopped. She wheeled back and peeked inside. It was a theater. Nat's heart instantly sped up. Without thinking, she went inside. There were 50 to 60 raked seats in front of a stage covered by a classic red velvet curtain. The space looked dusty, abandoned almost, except for a bulletin board on the side wall, littered with flyers. They were mostly dull ads for stuff like tutoring, laptop fixer-uppers, cat sitters, and apartment rentals. But bordering the notices was a series of hot pink and green papers, the opposite of dull. She inched closer to read what they said. Calling all kids 10 to 13 years old. Audition for Broadway Bounder's summer production of Wicked. Sunday, June 28th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the JCC in Saddle Stream, New Jersey, across from Reddickers College Sports Facility. Rehearsals and performances run a total of 4 weeks. She read it again and again, but her jitters made the words bob around in her brain, their meaning just not sinking in. She snagged the bottommost flyer, and as she stared at it, in her trembling hands, everything started to make sense. There were auditions tomorrow for a musical, but not just any musical, Wicked, her second favorite to Hamilton. Hey, maybe even tied for first. Everything she knew about the show danced in her head all at once. Wicked was the prequel to The Wizard of Oz, the untold story of the witches. There was Elphaba, a talented, fiery, misunderstood young woman born with emerald skin. And then there was Glinda, a bubbly blonde. They were rivals, then friends, oh my. And in the end, the world decided to call one wicked and the other good. It was amazing. Nat had never seen the show. Before she was born and before it had transferred to Broadway, it had premiered at San Francisco's Curran Theater. And even though there had been other West Coast productions since, they usually conflicted with racing and her mom's late work schedule. That hadn't stopped her from listening to the original Broadway cast recording on repeat since birth. Defying Gravity had been her ringtone for the last 2 years. She knew the lyrics to practically every song. She also knew that another one of the witches, Elphaba's sister, Nessa Rose, was in a wheelchair. Nessa Rose wasn't a witch to be overlooked. Mistook to be meek and quiet, she was actually a diva on wheels, with a wicked sweet crush and wicked savvy dreams. She was yearning for love, yearning to be accepted, yearning to feel normal. It was a part made just for her. Forget racing, Nat was already there on stage at the JCC, making her biggest dream of all come true. And this has been a preview of The Chance to Fly.